Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another recap video. So as usual, I'm gonna start with the pairs that I was looking at this week. So I'll start with the yellows and reds to see what I was monitoring and what set up and what didn't. And then I'll go to the greens. We had quite a few pairs set up and I took entries on this week. So we'll go to the green pairs and then go through the trades that I took this week. My computer's acting a little bit weird recently, so hopefully this recording goes okay. You know, if if not, just please bear with me if it's a little bit slow. Alright, so as usual, we'll start at the top with GBPAUD. Okay, so analysis that I did last week was based on the daily time frame. I was saying that for me to get long in this position, I'd like to see a nice clean, clear breakthrough of this trend line together with this zone, come back to retest, and then look for rejection with, you know, to target previous highs. Unfortunately, this did set up for me, so it set up as it says here Thursday during London session. So unfortunately, I didn't catch an entry on this, but I would have. If I could just zoom in here a little bit. So you see price broke through with momentum, came down, and then started to form rejection at the level. And this would have probably been my entry candle here, this sort of hammer candle, right? For those of you who don't know what a hammer candle is, it just looks kind of like a hammer, right? So this would have been my entry candle here. But unfortunately I missed entry and it would have hit final TPs, but no entry on that pair. GBPCAD, same sort of analysis, so I'll just jump back to the daily time frame. So we had this sort of range that was happening on GBPCAD, and we had this trend line that has been respected for quite a while, right? And we said that we had this big spike through and then it came back into the range. And what I was looking for was possible range in here, respect any trend line, to then further come up and give another touch to this upper zone, right? As we could see, it didn't quite make it to the zone, but it made it to previous highs. I unfortunately again didn't catch an entry on this, but you can see the same sort of rejection, right? So price came down very sharply, rejected the level, rejected the trend line, showed some signs of struggle with these very small candles, and then this doji candle, right? So this would have probably been my entry, right? And then, you know, target previous highs, which would have been, if we're being exact, would have been here at the top of this wick, right? And targets would have been hit, but again, unfortunately, this set up again in Thursday during London session, so I wasn't able to catch an entry on this pair. GBPCHF. So let's look at the analysis of last week. So what we were saying is that price was stuck into this range, right, by this resistance and support, and it's just been traveling within this all, you know, for a few months. So what I was looking for was for price to, if I was to trade the range, I was looking for price to push deeper into this level, right, which was respected by these highs here and these highs here. But price didn't actually get to that level, you know, if it did get to that level, we were looking to see maybe if price could rebound and, you know, push through this upper resistance level, right? But that didn't fully set up, and, you know, the other option was to see it break through and fall lower, but that didn't set up either, so no entries were had on this pair. GBPNZD. So the analysis was, we were looking at this previous support level, right? That was kind of disrespected a little bit here, but it didn't really hold, right? But in confluence with the trend line, we were looking at either a possible sort of retest and drop, or a clear breakthrough showing the that it doesn't respect the trend line anymore. Clear breakthrough, come back, retest, and then go. We did see a push above the level, but it did respect the trend line. So, you know, no trades were set up for me on this pair for this week, but we'll just keep an eye on it, right? EURJPY. Okay, so this is setting up as expected. So you know, we had this flag pattern form correctively into the level, spike above to take out stops, dropped exactly to the zone that I said it probably would. Now it's doing the retest to come back up to this previous resistance level. If that completes this week, then we'll look for a trade next week, right? But this week there was no trades to be had on this for me, so no entries. CADJPY, nothing really happened on this pair. It pretty much just consolidated all week, and you know, as I said in the analysis last week, we could see consolidation because of the tightening of price at this resistance level together with the trend line. It's very possible to see price just get very tight here, trying to make some decisions before an explosive move, right? So we're still gonna wait for that explosive move. Whether it's gonna explode up or explode down, we don't know, but we'll analyze that again tomorrow in the outlook video. So no entries were had on this pair. USDCHF, so there was no setups on this pair. Analysis is still the same, still waiting for it to come back up to this previous support level here. Still have my alerts set at the 50% level, so just wait to see what happens. But for right now, you can see it's very well respecting the 38.2 level. So it's just kind of forming this sort of consolidation here, right? So no trades were set up on this pair for me, but we'll keep an eye on it. USDJPY, right? So analysis played out as expected as well, but nothing was set up. I was saying, you probably can't see it very clear. I'll just drop to the 4-hour time frame. So I was saying that based on last week's analysis, I was saying because of how price is moving, we very well may see consolidation, right? Identified by this arrow here, consolidation, before it makes some kind of a push, right? You could see it try to go lower. It tried to come down to the zone, but it didn't quite make it. It seemed like it was respecting this level here, but no entries were had on this pair, right? So just keeping it on the lists and see what happens. AUDCAD, just jump back to the higher time frame, right? So still waiting on this to set up. You know, the analysis is still the same, broke above, waiting for it to come back to previous resistance. I have my alerts set just before that level, so if it comes down there, we'll do some more analysis on it. NZDCAD, right? So this I guess it kind of played out, but no entries were to be had. We were expecting price to push deeper into this level. If I just move this aside, we're expecting price to come deeper into the level. It didn't quite get there. Instead, it found support at this previous level here and started to push higher. All right, so no entries were had on this pair. NZDJPY. Right, so we were expecting price to either, this was the kind of funny analysis, right? So we're expecting price to either drop lower, retest, and then drop, or price to find this sort of consolidation area because of previous resistance, right? Broken trend line is currently starting to form maybe a retest of these levels here or these levels here. Just have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. Nothing played out on this pair for me, so no entries were had. All right, so now I'll just jump back to the pairs that actually did set up, and I will start with whatever was the first trade. So the first trade for me this week was NZDUSD, 1 hour long. This was a trade at the time of entry. Cool, so we'll go through some analysis. It dropped to the lower time frame to kind of pinpoint my entry, but entry was actually taken on the 1 hour time frame. And then I'll jump to the trade at time of closing. So close off 50% of the trade here at this level. Then it pushed higher. Once it started to form, meet these kind of highs, I decided to just close the trade off. And I'll go through analysis now. So let's see. So what did I say? I said here it was 4 hour H4 to touch trend line. I can show you all that as well. This So we're on the H4, so that's your first touch. Second touch, kind of third touch, but really this kind of cluster is considered one touch for me, right? So that's why I have third touch in quotes, right? Waited for break and retest of significant level on lower time frame, valid entry on the 15-minute time frame, general bullish bias, first TP at 1 to 3, closed half position, closed remainder at 5.72 hour, right? So let's go to NZDUSD. Where are we? NZDUSD. All right, so the analysis, so this was the trend line I was looking at, right? I'll just jump to the H4 so we could see it clearer. Okay, so this was the trend line I was looking at. We had this major level of structure. You could see that price shot up here and then rejected straight away and dropped, respected here, right? So the idea was if price came into it, right, because it lined up perfectly with my trend line, right? And I looked for rejection, right? So if I just drop to the 1 hour time frame, so you see price respected the trend line here, bounced up, came back down, and started to show signs of rejection. So what I waited for was, if I drop to the 15-minute time frame, all right, so what I waited for was just that move higher, came back down, retested this minor level here, and I caught my entry right at this level, right? And I identified first TP at the major zone, so just this major forward zone. If we look back here, you could kind of see it's just been respected all the time, right? So I just picked, I think it was this low or this low, one of these lows, and I said that would be my first target. But when I saw how price was moving and this rejection, I just decided to close half of the position there and wait to see what would happen, if it would make my further my final TPs. So once it pushed up and broke the trend line, which I can't remember what day it happened, once it broke this trend line, I thought it must, I just figured it must either come back to the zone to retest it or retest the trend line, right? And both of those things happened, and I didn't feel like I didn't feel like holding the position all throughout. I do think this has further upside because of these rejections of the level, but we'll look at that in the analysis next week, right? I mean tomorrow. So anyway, so that was this trade. So moving on to the next trade, which was GBPJPY. I guess for me this was probably the analysis of the week, maybe the trade of the week, right? I was very happy with this trade. So let's see, right? So Nick, the guy that I follow, he alerted me to where price was at the point in time, and I noticed price was at a significant daily level, and I had a general bullish bias, right? Ascending triangle forming on the 15-minute. Took a high risk entry based on tightening of price, showing bullish rejection. First TP hit at 9, almost 6 to 1, right? 5.97 hour. The rest was stopped at break even. So I'll show you the trade at the point of entry. So this was kind of the ascending, I guess you could call it pendant or whatever, right? So you just kind of had this big bullish move, and then price was just tightening. Once it came to that trend line, which would kind of been the third touch, right? So 1, 2, 3. I figured this was a pretty decent high risk entry. Stops just below, targeting this kind of microphone pattern, right? But I'll go through it in more detail. And this was the trade at time of closing. So first TP was hit, but then, you know, this played out during London, then came back down and took me out at break even. All right, so let's go to the chart. GBPJPY. All right, and I'll just jump to the daily time frame. So it's quite clear to see that the daily time frame has been in this consistent upward trend, right? And it's pushing into this major daily level, right? So I'll just drop to the entry time frame straight away, which was the 15-minute time frame. All right, so this was basically my analysis, as I said, right? So we had this major push, consolidation, collecting orders, further push, right? And then we saw, I just waited for price to make a low, which it did, and then waited for it to make a high, which it did. So I'd connect those two lows, sorry, this low and this high. Those were my starting points. Then I just connected this high to form the microphone pattern, right? To just see, just to possibly target. I call it a microphone pattern. I don't really know what you call it, but people call it different things. I call it microphone, right? So this I identify this as a potential target. And then once we had this second confirmed low here, I could just probably use this to point stuff out. This second confirmed low here, I connected my trend line, and then I waited for this second confirmed high, so I connected this trend line, and then obviously the pattern is quite clear from that point, right? So you had tightening of price, tightening of price, tightening of price. Once it came back to this level and showed massive rejection, you know, it was clear to me to just take an entry here with a very tight stop loss just beneath the kind of wick and the trend line, and targeting this previous this microphone trend line here, right? So it did come exactly to it, but I just set my TP based off of where it would meet the trend line, right? Based off of just pulling the risk to reward tool to the trend line. So it did actually go to the top of the trend line, but that would have been ambitious to guess that, right? So right, so that hit my first TP. I closed 50% of my trade there at that point, but the rest was, you know, stopped at break even. This happened before I even woke up. So anyway, so that was that trade. I was very happy with this analysis. It's not often I get analysis this clean, but you know, it worked out really good this week. All right, so let's see. The next trade for me was AUDUSD. It was taken on the 1 hour time frame. It was a long position, net pips of 51. I'll just go to the trade at the time of entry. All right, so it's kind of clear to see, right? So we had this kind of pattern, this range pattern forming. Then we had these highs form. We had a clear breakthrough. It came back, tested with clear rejection. So we're looking for long positions, targeting previous highs. I'll just go to the time of closing. Cool. So right, so this was the trade at time of closing. I'll explain, once I do my analysis, I'll explain why I closed the trade at this point. So let's just read this for now. So me, daily uptrend, price stock in higher time frame range. I just think I took a screenshot of that, but I think it's quite clear to see. So you just had this range, right? Waited for, man, I need to read these things before I start recording. Right. Waited for break and retest of minor level on the lower time frame, closed half the position at 2.61 hour, closed the remainder at 4.77 hour. All right, so that was AUDUSD. All right, so just jump to AUDUSD and just jump back out to the 1 hour time frame. All right, cool. So this was the analysis at the point in time. So the reason why I decided to close the rest of the position here was, if you could, I just decided, I connected this low to this high and just extended the trend line, right? Just to see what seemed the most relevant. When price got to this area, it showed a lot of signs that it wanted to reverse, right? If it was going to break the trend line, it would, to me, it would break it with a very strong candle similar to this candle here, but it respected it, right? So right on this last push here on this candle, on this very last push, I decided to close my position, right? So I took full profits off at this level. And then price kind of formed this range. It kind of went a little bit higher to respect the trend line, then it dropped, and you know, and then it ended up pulling all the way back. So I think it was a good decision to close the position. I was actually alerted to the possible reversal by a friend of mine, which I mentioned him on my last video, I think it was. So you know, I'll probably link his channel down below again if you want. But he alerted me to this level, and I thought, you know what, you're probably right. So that caused me to close the position off here as well, right? But you know, as you can see, the analysis was very clear market structure. You had the rejection with this doji candle, and then straight away, you know, we had this bounce off the level, right? Yes, it did come back. So you could have caught another entry on the lower time frames, but you know, that was a pretty decent trade. Right, so I mean, so far for this week, I mean, market structure has just been really good. So it was some really nice clean setups this week. All right, so next trade for me was EURJPY. It's taken on the 4-hour time frame. It was a short position. This was a trade at the time of entry. Right, so you can see here we had this trend line that was broken. It's on the 4-hour time frame. It was broken, came back up, retested the level. That would have been the best entry, but I saw that it was respecting a level on the lower time frame, so I decided to just try it out and take the position down to previous lows and then target further lows, right? And then, so let's look at the analysis here. Well, actually, no, let's look at the trade at the time of closing. So I decided to close the trade off and break even. This shows, I took the screenshot a little bit later than I closed it off, but it was actually dead set on break even, right? But price kind of spiked up after I closed the position. So let's have a look. So me seeing a change in price structure, trend line broken, confirmed lower highs and lower lows. Price broke a major level and is retesting. So price broke a major level and is retesting. Price showed too much indecision and more bullish than bearish price action. So I decided to close the trade off and break even. Right, so I'll just jump to the chart. I was on the H4 and EURJPY. Okay, so this was the trade. So basically, as I said, we had that break of the trend line. We also had this break of structure, came down to this level of support, came back, retested. That would have probably been my perfect entry there, but I wasn't around for that. However, on the lower time frames, I could drop to the 1 hour after. Actually, I'll just drop to the 1 hour now. All right, so on the 1 hour, you could see here, we've had this level forming, right? So rejection, broke through, rejection, 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 rejection. So I decided to enter on this rejection here, and you could quite clearly see price just had too much indecision. It would go down. So when I saw this, I thought, you know, maybe price does want to make a move, right? So I was confident in the move at this point, but then straight away it came back up, went down, came back up, went down, and since then it's just been ranging. So I just decided, because of the indecision being shown here, you see this is a clear move, and that is what I like to be involved in. When price is moving like this, right, just showing collection of orders before it makes the move. I don't like to be in the market at that point in time, and this was just showing that. However, I do still think, because we had this kind of corrective move up into the level, I'll just extend this here, right? We had a corrective move up into the level, and then we had this bearish engulfing. So, but you know, then it had this bullish candle that kind of recovered. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So I think closing off at break even was the right thing to do. That would have just been a stressful trade to try and just keep holding it, and it's just going up and going down. So, and then you could clearly see here on the H4 time frame, it's just a lot more bullish price action than bearish price action, right? So we're just seeing a lot of wicks to the bottom. So yeah, as I said, I think closing off on break even was the right thing to do. I'll just close some of these off so we can have some space on the browser. Alright, so next trade was EURUSD. So this was an interesting trade for me. It's a new system, not a new system, it's just something I've been looking at for a while that I decided to start forward testing with live trades this week. And it's based off of a confluence of Fibonacci levels. And it could be done a multitude of different ways. I'll just show you one today, but I wouldn't show you the exact one because I'm not 100% clear on the, sharing it just yet, right? So let's see. So me forward testing multi-fib entry was on point, taken out at break even after price moved 2 hour into profit. I set a limit for this trade. I need to stop doing this, so that's why it's red. I shouldn't really be setting buy or sell limits or buy or stop sell stop orders. I need to be at the charts and do analysis based on price action when I'm entering a trade. So I need to, this is a problem I need to get out of my trading. And you can see up here I did the same thing last week, right? I broke the rules here. But anyway, I shouldn't be doing that. So I will look at the trade at the time of analysis. It's not the time of entry because I wasn't at the chart, right? So I did analysis. Actually, no, I got a screenshot. I think this was right before the trade activated. Anyway, so I did analysis around here, right? I expected price to kind of spike into this level, and then reject, right? Then we had this is the trade at the time of closing, or I guess when I was taken out, right? So it did spike into the level, activated the trade, and then it pushed into my break-even stop level. I put my stops at break-even, and then the rest was taken out, right? So I just jumped to the chart to try and explain this trade as basic as I possibly can. Alright, so on the H4 we had this level here, right? You could see this level here of highs. So we had this level of highs here, showed rejection, broke above, showed rejection, more rejection. It bought from the level, came back down, and it showed some more rejection, right? So basically what I did for this trade is that I went to the 15-minute time frame, and as I say, I wouldn't go through exactly what it is I do, but there's this concept of multiple fib confluences, right? So if I pull a fib from this very high to this very low, right, you can see that price is lining up here with the 38.2 Fibonacci level. Right, if I then pull another fib, right, from this high here to the same low, right, it's probably going to be hard for you all to see, but you can see here that is lining up exactly with the 50% fib level, right? And then if I pull another fib here from this high, you need to be able to identify your Fibonacci, your swing highs and swing lows, right? I'll just extend this one just a little bit more, so it's probably a little bit clearer. So you can see here is kind of a confluence of the 618 fib together with the 786 fib of this move, right? So that's pretty much a basic overview of the fib confluence based on the swing highs. So swing high to low, another swing high to the same low, another swing high to the same low. Where you see a bunch of fib confluences, you're going to get some kind of reaction, right? My expectation was that it would drop from the level, right? But instead, what you see at the confluence fib level is a ton of consolidation, right? A ton of indecision. Price would shoot down, then shoot up. Price shoot down, shoot up, shoot down. So, it was. I tried it, and I will continue trying it, but basically I looked at the previous highs here as my sell limit entry. So I just kind of targeted this area here, and I figured, you know what, if price came into that level around the fib confluence level, that would be a pretty decent place to get an entry, right? So I got entry, trade was activated on this candle here, which shows the spike up into the level. Price came down and it showed this level here, this low here. So once it did that, which was pretty much 2 to 1, I said, you know what, if it came back to that level, I'll just move my stops to break even. Price went up, almost went into drawdown, then it came down. Once it did that, I moved my stops to break even. Then it found some support here and then took me out, right? So no profits were had on this trade. I think the analysis was pretty decent. It's something that I will continue testing in the future. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, right? So, you know, nothing was happening on that trade, so that was break even. EURJPY. So we had here, this is a trade that's still open, right? So basically we had reversal setup based off of extreme daily level. I'll just show you guys the extreme daily level. Cool. So we had support, 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 resistance, resistance, and I'm thinking again resistance, right? So that's the extreme daily level. H4 showing hidden bearish divergence. Price retraced, forming a lower high, also followed by a bearish engulfing candle. So I'll just jump to that trade. EURJPY daily. All right, so this is the daily as I showed you guys. All right, so support, support, resistance, resistance, possible resistance again. All right, just trying to get as much confluence as possible. If you look at the H4 time frame, what I saw was this here. Price formed this high together with this high, right? So this is a high, this is a higher high. If we look at here, right? So on the RSI, we have price forming lower highs, while on the price, we have price forming higher highs, right? Together with the confluence of that major daily level, right? So what I did, I connected the lows, I waited for price to break through, come back up and retest, right? It did retest exactly at my trend line, but I didn't get an entry there. Instead, what I did, I waited for this bearish engulfing candle to form. Once it did, I took my entry at this level here, and currently the trade is in about 1.5 to 1, 1.5 hour or 1.4 hour. All right, so that was this trade. It's still open, it's still running. This here says close 50%. This is for another trade on the same pair, and I'll get to that trade next. All right, so the next trade was same EURJPY, but this was taken on the 15-minute time frame, short position. This was a trade at the time of analysis. All right, so we had price making higher highs on the 15-minute time frame, but on the RSI we had price making lower highs. So we just wait for price to make a sign that it wanted to go lower, broke, retested, and I took my entry there with stops just above. Right, and then the trade was closed off at this level. So this was my first TP here, previous lows, closed 50% of the position off here, and then the rest was closed off here, but I'll explain that in a little bit. So it says here, same analysis as above, but entries based on confluence of higher time frame hidden divergence and lower time frame hidden divergence with break and retest. Half profits taken at 3.9 hour, firm closed full TP at 3.9 hour, which was pretty much the same level. So the account that I took the trade on the lower time frame, they close off all trades on Friday evening, right? I did request them to have the trade run over the weekend, but they didn't. I guess they denied my request. I never really heard back from them. So that's unfortunate because I do see a lot of downside for this position. So we had, so I'll just jump back to the 4-hour time frame. So same stuff, right? So we had price pushing into this daily resistance level together with the hidden bearish divergence, right, on the 4-hour time frame. And if you look, right, so we had this break, came back up to test the trend line, right, very clean. And then if we look on the lower time frame, you also have a hidden bearish divergence forming, right? So same setup as we saw on the higher time frame. Same things happening on the lower time frame. So we had price making higher highs, RSI making lower highs. Just wait for price to show you that it wants to go lower. All right, it formed this support. It came, it broke through, came back up, retested. That was my entry. Initial targets was here where I closed off 50% of my position, right? Nice clean move. And then, as I said, pretty much at the same price, the firm closed me out. But I have a feeling this could see a lot of downside, right? I don't know. I mean, these are my targets here. We'll see if it gets there. But we'll do some more analysis on this, I guess, tomorrow. So anyway, that was that trade. And then the last trade for me for this week, which is still open. It was taken yesterday, so I've been waiting on this trade for a while. So AUDNZD on the forward time frame long. This is pretty much the trade at the time of entry. Cool. So that's the trade at the time of entry. And what do we say here? Me, based on the daily uptrend, break and retest, right? So let's have a look. AUDNZD. I don't know if you guys have been watching the analysis video, but we've been waiting on this for a while. So we had the trend line broken. It broke with some pretty decent momentum. We have this daily level here, right? So support, resistance, hopefully another support. But we'll see what happens, right? Because we had this big bearish daily candle that formed on Thursday. Right, this big bearish candle. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. But I'll just jump to the lower time frame. So the trade is currently in a little bit of drawdown, right? It didn't go into profit straight away. So we're just waiting on this to see what happens, right? The price might push lower, come take me out. It might rebound from here. If it does, I've got my alert set here, which is just pretty much to let me know if price is going in my direction or not, right? So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. As I said, I'm currently holding this position. All right, so that is pretty much it. Those were all the trades for the week. We could go ahead and do some hypothetical numbers here. So, all right, so first trade 1 to 3 to 1. I mean, sorry, 3R. So do that. AUDNZD. So first position 3R. Second position. What am I doing? Second position 5.72. All right, so that was the odd. What was that? NZDUSD. Yeah. Okay, so GBPJPY first position 5.97. Second position was nothing. 0.97 and then 0. All right, and we had AUDUSD. So first position 2.61, second position 4.77. 2.61, 4.77. Then we had, and I keep wanting to go to the top. All right, so then we had EURJPY, which was 0, so no point entering that one. EURUSD, which was 0, no point entering that one. AUDCHF is still open. This AUDCHF is closed, and both was closed at 3.9R, right? That was the last pretty much profitable trade. So 3.9 and 3.9. All right, so yeah, another pretty good week. So so basically, if you don't really understand this, how this thing is calculated, for each position I always take 50%. I risk 1% per trade, and I take 2 trades, one which I close off in some profit, right? And then the other one I kind of leave to run or close off at final profits, right? And this just calculates how many trades I've won in a row and how many trades I've lost in a row. And then I just put in some hypothetical numbers, right? 10K is a pretty decent starting place for most people or something. So I just figured I'd use 10K, right? So yeah, so 15-hour return in total based on scaling out profits, 15.79. If it was, you know, if you risked more, it would probably, if you risk 2% or 1% per position, obviously you just multiply this by 2, right? I think I'd just be clear as well to say I don't take all these trades on all my accounts. The lower time frame trades, like the 15-minute time frame trades, are taken on one account, and then the higher time frame trades are taken on separate accounts, right? Because I trade different accounts. So, you know, it'll be nice to say yes, I do 15% this week and 13% this week and 5% this week, but in truth, it, you know, those percentages for me are split between different accounts, right? So yeah, and I risk different amounts on the different accounts. So this trade tracker here is just showing the potential returns if you were to risk 1% per trade in total, what your gains could have been taken all trades on one account, right? Anyway, so you know, January continues to be a pretty good month. As I said in my first recap video, this sort of win rate for me, I've only lost one trade with 2 break-evens so far for the month. This is highly unlikely for me. This doesn't happen, right? I don't know if I'm just having a lucky streak. Maybe I should have started the YouTube channel before. Because it's making me stay true to my analysis, making me sit down and actually do my analysis every week, stay honest to my entries, stay honest to my trading plan, and so far it's been working very good. You know, and I guess long may it continue, right? So based on, I mean, last time I had a nice streak like this with all these winning trades, I went through on the very next month, I went through pretty much a break-even month. So win one, lose one, win one, lose one. So I don't know, let's see how it continues, right? But you know, I started off trading this year to, you know, with a bang, and I'm just grateful for how it's been going for me so far, right? And you know, long may it continue. All right, well, if you got this far through the video, well, thank you for watching as usual. If you like what you see, and you like obviously the way that I look at the market and analyze the charts, and if you like to just follow me on my journey, my trading journey, you know, feel free to subscribe. If you think the videos would be useful to anyone, please feel free to share the videos. And you know, to anybody who actually watches my videos, feel free to, you know, leave some comments below, and you know, let's have some interactivity, right? Cool. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow in the outlook video.